Mosaic New York is a theater company, and it is year-round. And we're made up right now of student actors and then myself as the artistic director. There are 12 student actors. And we're devoted to promoting dialogue, celebrating diversity, encouraging the active pursuit of social justice and developing community. So that's, again, we're very focused on theater for social change and social justice issues. So I got started with social justice through theater, or incorporating social justice and theater. I'd say it's always been an interest of mine. But for much of my life, that had more to do with kind of traditional plays. So pick a text that maybe engages in social issues and then stage that. And I still am very interested in that. So anything from, going way back to classical Greek Lysistrata and looking at how we use theater about, a sex strike as a means of ending war. But then I have become more interested in theater that is specifically written by a community, for a community, in the area of social justice, probably since I was working on my master's in St. Louis. I audition for the company in the spring of the year preceding, so I'll be auditioning for next year's company probably this March or April. And the actors commit to a full year with the company, so they come back 3 weeks before the start of the semester for an extremely intensive collaboration where we build a lot of skills. There's no requirement of previous knowledge of acting, so we do a lot of work on just kind of developing skills, particularly for theater for social change and the kind of devised work, because we write all of our own scripts. We aren't staging things that already exist. So we do a lot of training for that. And then we start working on writing scripts. So that's 3 weeks of 6 hours a day, 6 days a week. And then during the academic year, we all meet together twice a week for 2 hours each time during the academic year, and then perform and do other activities as they come up throughout the academic year.
I think that theater is a really unique way to talk about social justice, because you're not just standing up there and talking and saying, this is a lecture, here's a speech about what I think. It's a lot more visceral. In Mosaic, we do a lot of work that not only that comes from our own lives and comes from our own experiences. And I think that when you're talking about social justice issues in a personal way, not in a sort of an abstract way, it creates a link between the performers and the audience. And especially because in the way that when we do our performances, we always have a talk back. There's always a chance for the audience to engage with us and for us to explain or delve deeper into what we said in the performance. I think that we're in a unique position to communicate with people.
And exploring social justice has been really great. I feel so much more aware and in tune with the things that I feel are really important and a lot of us are disconnected from. So a lot of Mosaic is gaining connection with yourself and with the issues that we're kind of grappling with. I think it can totally get the conversation going, because kind of like what Michelle was saying before, that we put on these pieces and we facilitate conversation. So we're putting something out there in the hopes that people will, even if they don't hear all of it, that they'll hear something, and it will maybe not right at that moment change them, but that it'll be the seed for change.
Well, I'm a sophomore right now, so I was a first year when I'd first heard of it, and I wasn't really sure that I wanted to stay in this school, so I didn't see why I needed to join something even though I was going to transfer. But I knew there were a lot of issues in this campus regarding racism, sexism, and sexual assault, and I felt like I would be a quitter if I just left the school, knowing that there was a role for me and I could do something about it. And I never really abandoned something, so I don't know, I felt like there was a responsibility and there's people that should take it, and I should be one of them, because I maybe could provide a different outlook on campus that others may not relate to.
I think I don't know enough, and I know a lot, right? And I don't know what I know that's accurate and inaccurate about that particular case at HWS. I think I have no doubts that all college campuses, as is true of all of, sadly, the world, have issues with sexual assault. And I think that for me, the biggest thing that I personally am concerned with is trying to change our culture so that that's viewed as unacceptable, that there is peer pressure to not promote, cause, to not rape, to not be sexually aggressive, to not catcall, to not do any of those types of behaviors that make campuses unsafe for women and men. Because it's obviously not a problem that only women experience, or that only women or men experience at the hands of men, right? Anyone can rape. What do we do to prevent sexual assault on this campus? Peer pressure is probably where I start the most. We need to work as a group to stop normalizing these behaviors. And if we see something happening, speaking up to our peers, speaking up to people who make comments, even if it's phrased as a joke, right? Voicing that something makes us uncomfortable. To me, that's the biggest thing, because so much of what happens, there's a sense that it's normal when in fact I would say it's not. And I would say not just that I feel it's not, but actually we all as a community largely feel that it's not. It's just that because no one says anything, it starts to feel normalized. Like theater for this kind of work is that it starts a conversation, and because it's not, I think as a culture, we've come up with a term that I hate, political correctness, because it's a nice way of distancing, right? Oh, you're just being PC. It's really not about political correctness. It's about thinking about the ways in which language frame the way we see the world, right? But I think that often we as people feel like we know everything, we've heard it all. Would people please stop lecturing on something? And so theater is a really great way of dealing with issues, because again, because the audience is putting themselves in someone else's shoes, or maybe able to recognize a moment that intellectually when they read about there's this distance there, but when I see it on stage it might remind me of something that I actually experienced or witnessed, and that's an opening that then allows for further development.
I don't regret the decision. We've done a lot. We've done performances on racism, on Mike Brown, on Eric Garner, on sexual assault on campus culture. And a lot of, especially first years, have come up to me and have spoken to me and have felt comfortable knowing that there's a group, not just of staff or faculty, but of students and their peers that are also willing to speak out on this. Because not everyone, either someone doesn't have an opinion on it, or they just would rather not talk about it outside of the classroom. So, I don't know. Mosaic, I feel, has broken barriers and like it's okay to talk about it. I feel like we have a lot to be done. We're not the only college in America that is dealing with this, but the first step is talking about it and acknowledging that it does happen.